Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to what could be a very last game of the day here. Vega Squadron versus Effect in the lower bracket of the Perfect World CIS qualifiers. Effect actually won game number 1 after being down maybe about 10k, but then finding a couple of good team fights in a row. Vega Squadron ultimately had nothing left to throw at them, so pretty interesting how this can work out. And now it's them actually one game away from elimination. Oh, Franz, what are your thoughts?
Well, it certainly seems like this Mag Broodmother seems to be the centerpiece of FX victories. I mean, he always manages to find farm on. Seems like that team really just knows how to play around Broodmother as a mid, and so Vega Squadron. I think they got off to a good start, but they weren't able to really seal the game, and as a result, Effect found a couple of openings. They won the game. Not to say that Vega Squadron played poorly. It was more like Effect did a very good job of making sure that they didn't lose too much in the mid game.
Yep. Well, ban's taking a little while, but Effect finally settled on the spur break. I believe they banned that last game as well. But now Vega Squadron, they take out the Venom as well as the Nature's Prophets, so not giving Sadoy back. That's pushing potential hero. Instead, the Night Stalker makes it through, so hey.
And Night Stalker to me is a little bit of a hit or miss hero, but the greatest strength about the Night Stalker hero is that you have the advantage in almost every mid-late game engagement just because of that vision control from his ultimate from the Night Stalker himself. And so one way to play around the Night Stalker is just to make sure that your heroes are just so good at counter initiating or just good at being able to deal with having less vision, and also just being able to shut down the Night Stalker in general, because Night Stalker is not the best support in the early game. He's not super effective in the first 4 minutes just because the hero relies on nighttime to do his thing, and so
yeah.
that is one critical weakness of the Night Stalker that can be exploited. And Ancient Apparition and Necrophos are both heroes that are quite good in the early game, so could see that impact the effect of the Night Stalker this game.
Same time though, they pick up the Bat Rider straight off the bat, so it's pretty good counter to Necrophos in most games, especially if they end up being in the 1v1 situation up in the Bat Rider offlane. Like I've seen it time and time again where it's like, alright, it's just Necrophos, he'll be fine, but then gets a couple of sticky stacks, Bat Rider runs him down, and stick charges, ghost shot or not, he's still burning. Not enough regen to actually offset that.
Yeah, Bat Rider is certainly a hero that deals well with Necrophos, but if I've learned anything from watching Necrophos games, it's not enough to have just one hero that has kill potential on Necrophos, because that hero excels at fighting, and so if Bat Rider is not careful, the same thing can happen to him. He blinks in, gets bursted immediately.
Yep.
But also, if anything, I feel like this Bat Rider Night Stalker pick is just like a very common combination. You have Night Stalker scouting out the kill in the mid game, and then Bat Rider going for the lasso, right? And
yep.
when the enemy team has a hero like Ancient Apparition, the Bat Rider should, relatively speaking, have an easy early game, just because Ancient Apparition is an easy kill for Bat Rider, but also Bat Rider doesn't exactly care about cold feet, so
yep. Unless there's some sort of combination play from the other support from Vega Squadron. Sometimes you see, like, not recently, but I've seen it comboed up with heroes like Tusk, even the Rubik, something with a little bit of extra control to make sure that cold feed will actually proc.
Yeah. Earth Spirit is also a very common pick with Ancient Apparition, just because Earth Spirit can really help capitalize on the chilling touch as well as the cold feet.
If they want to commit for something like that, or just take it on the chin, that they might not get too much value out of the Ancient Apparition in the early game.
So Vega Squadron sort of have this lineup that's really, really good at finding kills right now. You have both the ultis on AA and Necrophos are adequate for slaying heroes, and so you need a hero that helps your team set up for kills, and Kunkka's certainly one of them. And also, the the ghost ship also adds a lot of survivability for the Necrophos.
Yep. Definitely
With this Bane pickup,
yeah.
Bane pickup's kind of strange to me because it feels like it makes Effect's lineup really slow. I don't want to say it's slow. It just feels
10 seconds
something
remaining.
doesn't feel right about these three heroes. Like it doesn't feel like they do damage,
5
or
seconds
it
remaining.
doesn't feel like they play well against Vega Squadron's heroes, especially Kunkka's got
Yeah,
three ways to stop Fiend's Grip, and
yeah.
Kunkka in general is really good at catching Bat Rider and Night Stalker. So like Effect have to watch their positioning despite having a Night Stalker on their team.
I see what you mean. I mean, there's no obvious synergies between effects heroes right now, or big synergies, I should say. There's also no big heroes that the bank counters out in this game. So
Bane in
it
general
does
is
seem a
just
bit
sort of
odd.
like Bane in general is just like sort of a lane enforcer, right?
Yeah,
That's what I think that's what most people pick him as, but at the same time it doesn't really feel like he helps his team as much as he would in say another game, given different opponents' heroes and different heroes on their lineup.
Dire team pick.
well,
But, Effect
oh,
might have something in mind, but Vega also have something in mind. Slark, the hero we haven't seen in a while, but Slark kind of does well against all of Effect's heroes.
especially against the Bad Riders, you can run him in at safe lane. Necrophos delegate to mid again, one would imagine, as a result.
10 seconds remaining.
G, of course, has played it in that position last game.
5 seconds remaining.
Decent against Night Stalker as well. If you see him coming, you can always just purge off the silence.
Yeah, Effect don't have something like, say, a Void or a Disruptor, which would normally be really good against Slark. And I also don't think that Effect, well, first of all, Void's ban and Disruptor's ban. I don't think Effect really have
Radiant team back.
a lot of core picks left that can necessarily deal with the Slark. But why even deal with the enemy core when they have to worry about yours, right? So
Exactly,
again,
yeah.
we see the Mag Broodmother. Always a pleasure to watch. I mean, I think Mag really has the Broodmother hero figured out. I don't know if it's credit to him or
5
someone else that
seconds
gave him the build,
remaining.
but the Radiance into BKB into Solar Crest Assault Kura seems to work really well.
Yep. Yeah, I'm surprised a little bit by that, because we've seen
Oh, sorry.
Broodmothers. No worries. We've seen Broodmothers generally go for the like, straight up Medallion Solar Crest into Desolator,
Dire
or
team
vice
back.
versa. Just go for this straight up heavy minus armor early on. But yeah, it is, as you said, it doesn't give them that farming potential. So even though they have Spiderlings to help out, it's not nearly as fast to push out lanes and to farm up these next big items. And then Broodmothers tend to fall off a little
10
bit once the
seconds
counters
remaining.
really come in to just bring them down.
5 seconds remaining.
And so I think the item build that Mag has works really well.
Dire team pick.
In order to kill the Brood, you really just have to stop her from attacking, like just kill her straight up. But with that much armor and with Magic Community, he becomes so difficult, and so that that Broodmother, that specific Broodmother build seems to scale really well. So even if Effect get kind of
10 seconds remaining.
shaken up in the early game, he always seems to catch up
Yeah.
and do his job in the late game.
5 seconds remaining.
Right. Last pick from Effect. Still looking for a safe lane carry here. Who do you think they want to pick up for Alpha Ninja? I mean, Mirana's been banned. It's one of the go-tos that they seem to like.
Perhaps just a space making carry like a Weave or a Clinks. I mean, that's what the North Americans would do in this situation, but Effect probably have something else in mind. A lot of carries have been banned, so I'm having difficulties even thinking of what's left in the pool. Perhaps something like a Weaver would probably fight kind of well into Vega's Squadron's lineup, just a hero that gets in the backline to
Radiant
deal with the
team pick.
AA and the Kunkka, but instead they pick Gyro. Not a hero we
Oh,
usually see, but he certainly is a space making carry, right? He's one of the
oh yeah.
carries that kind of is willing to fight in the early game, especially with the amount of magic damage he deals.
Yeah, I
10
wonder if
seconds
he's
remaining.
kind of a forgotten potential counter up against the Necrophos,
5 seconds remaining.
running him down. But at the same time, he can also be kind of squishy. He doesn't really have a lot of regen to work with, or a lot of health points, so it's very easy for Necrophos to get him to the range where he can just be scythed down.
And perhaps it's Effect also recognizing that because Vega Squadron have a Slark as one of their cores, Slark isn't a hero that wants to fight
You may
early,
now
and
select
when you
your
have a carry that
heroes.
wants to fight early, then it kind of gives some potential for Effect to get a lot more done in the early game. We haven't really seen one of these CIS teams playing such a farm heavy carry such as Slark. So, there's a potential that if Vega Squadron aren't careful, then Effect are just gonna go for more and more team fights before, like, say, the 12-minute mark, and then try to mount an advantage from there where, the Broodmother and the Gyrocopter completely just outscale the Slark.
Well, very last pick of this match was once again the Earthshaker, so the textbook counter to heroes like Broodmother. But we saw how well that worked out in the last game. Maybe Afterlife can find better openings this time around.
Yeah, they definitely have to get the kind of jump on the Broodmother with the Earthshaker, but as we've seen in previous games, Effect seems to be pretty proactive in their positioning, making sure that they don't get caught out in, or don't let their cores get caught out in weird positions. And as a result, Mag always seems to be successful in these late game team fights.
Well, another pause now. Not this time, okay. Technically we should be heading into game number 2 very soon. That is Effect versus Vega Squadron. If Effect win this one, then they're through to the next round of the Perfect World Masters CIS qualifiers. Vega Squadron are out. If not, well, then we're gonna go to game 3. My name is Dragon Drop, I'm joined by Franz. See the lanes take shape here. Could be something to... actually, Afro Ninja in the Batrider this time around instead of the carry hero. The Doi actually picking up the Gyrocopter, so it's a bit of a role swap. But I believe Afro Ninja, he used to play offlane like ages ago. Maybe I'm just misremembering that.
I wouldn't know, but perhaps we will see soon.
Also has Null Talisman first? It's more of an item build that you expect out of a mid hero.
Yeah, perhaps he's looking to go mid, or perhaps he's in a one-on-one with the Earthshaker.
If you see G mid, like we talked about this Necrophos Batrider matchup, so it would make sense, right, to send him in that lane. So, yeah.
I'm almost tempted to say that if I were Effect, I would aggressive tri-lane against the Slark. Perhaps they're still trying to figure out which lane the Slark's going to be in.
Yeah.
But
looks like, yeah,
so far it seems like it's going to be Batrider mid, Broodmother top.
Yeah. Yeah, this does look like this aggressive tri-lane. Does make some sense, right? You have the Gyro, you have the Bane to even perhaps set up later down the line, so just, and beyond that just trade well with Brain Sap. The only hero that's kind of questionable would be the Night Stalker, but you can still provide a little bit of slow early on.
You still have the enemy team as a Slark, and Slark's like one of the worst heroes in an aggressive tri-lane, so perhaps that's what Effect we're really looking at when they decided to aggressive tri-lane, especially like if you shut down the Slark early, he almost never comes back into the game unless his team makes like a lot of space for him. Looks like they're gonna do a lane swapping of their own.
Yep. Life making his way down bottoms, but he's actually missing out on creep worth of experience here almost, so it's not ideal. Go straight for a pull.
Broodmother's like a hero that's used to being tri-laned against, so Mag should be dead here actually.
Taunt will connect to Cold Feet, all on the sentries, so yeah, first blood will be shed. A lot of gold though for each of these 3 heroes.
That's a really good pick off from Vega there. I mean, they managed to land all 3 of their spells, so... Oh, in the mid lane, 6 stacks.
That's what we were talking about. He's burning. He's burning hard. 6 charges or no. He still gets a kill on the Night Stalker as he comes in. And Afro Ninja also falls to the tower shots. So maybe not the most effective trade. But, well, there's a dominance.
I mean, G has that magic wand, so that probably gave a lot of extra survivability to his hero, but, Afro Ninja, he managed to get the kill and the EXP, which puts G slightly behind on this lane.
Yep. Now, bit of a wraparound perhaps from the Konkai, sticking around up on a higher ground. He's level 2, so access to Torrent is a possibility. But I have to be careful on Necrophos even with that. 4 stacks of napalm at one point.
The problem for Vega is they actually need 3 heroes to take care of this brood, and you know, if our Zeke is kind of scouting out this Kunkka, then the Kunkka's never really going to get in position to help this tri lane get the kill on Broodmother.
Yeah.
And as a result, I think perhaps Effect are getting more out of their lanes just because the bottom lane is supposedly winning as well.
I think it's at the very least King R is being shut down. I mean, it's 2.5 minutes in, he's still only level 1, so his first nighttime. So very little chance of that actually turning into anything.
I think he's looking for a kill on Afterlife, actually. Sidori kind of chipping down this Earthshaker and pushing out this lane.
Yeah.
Could see that happening.
Dive the tower with the creep wave coming in. They also have the rockets following Afterlife as he tanks it up in front. The creep wave will make sure that this rocket barrage will not actually connect, so it's very hard to gank him here in this kind of positioning that he's keeping to.
But they do manage to get a lot of damage on the Earthshaker.
Yep.
So could be a kill happening in the next couple of minutes if the Earthshaker is not careful, and definitely seems like FNJ has sort of the upper hand at mid lane. But G does have 15 1 charges, so it's kind of a tough kill for just Batrider alone.
Yep. Especially since that, but even if he still dies, it buys him enough time for one of the supports to make the rotation and repeat that same kind of trade that we've seen at the very least.
So I think the real victory for Vega here is that the Ryu on Slark is just so much further ahead of Broodmother. Actually getting quite a bit of farm and EXP in this lane.
Keeping up one-on-one essentially with the gyrocopter on the other side. Been getting the odd spiraling here or there.
You can definitely feel that Mag feels a little pressured in this lane just because the Kunkka and the Ancient Apparition are missing off of the map right now. He doesn't want to feed any unnecessary kills to the Slark.
But
at the same time,
complete it, yeah.
Effect really only have kill potential with the Night Stalker, but the Night Stalker isn't exactly super farmed, and he's actually set up mid with an Invis. Bane will rotate in as well, so this could be a potential kill.
He's on the wrong side of the river, so he'll be slowed down 2 stacks and dragged back into the fire. Nice torrent though, catches 2 of them, but Nightmare will make sure they can keep it up with the fire. G will end up falling first. Can he get anything in return? That's the next question, and the answer to that is no. Earthshake unable to really find the angle for the fissure he was looking for. Bit of a counterplay, but ultimately Effect grab that kill for themselves.
It looks like Broodmother's actually setting a mid, so perhaps this is the matchup that Mag wants. At least his Batrider should be able to pressure the Slark a lot better than Mag can on this Broodmother. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be a level behind G in the mid lane.
Yep.
But that should secure him some space to farm.
Bane is also here to perhaps do something. So Sayat, and look at this. King off on the backlines here. They're focusing on a quick kill, the easy kill. Ancient Apparition. Well, here's what it is. And that alone will put on some more pressure on the Slack, but so far he still has yet to fall back and fall below the gyrocopter in terms of creep score.
Yep, certainly this Slark's having a good start to his game, but at the same time I think it's a little expected given how the lane started. Because Effect actually don't have a lot of ways to kill the Slark, and the Slark's gonna hit level 6 eventually, so you know, this game just gets harder and harder for Effect to deal with the Slark.
Dire's middle tower is under
Really, he sees Alpha Ninja setting up for this big stack. Might even be able to steal some of these creeps with a well-timed Q, and that plus Torrent, yeah. Quite a few will come into his possession, I believe.
Bottom lane?
Oh, that is? Okay, we dive him. So Doy just finally says enough is enough. I'm taking care of this myself. 3 points up in Rocket Barrage, just running him down. So far so good.
Some good tower damage on bottom as well, and should also note that Effect has been doing quite a good job of de-warding the wards on Vega Squadron, so Vega have no idea what's going on the left side of the map, and as a result, you know, Mag also feels a little bit more comfortable just farming between the lane and this neutral camp bottom. It's a bit of a rotation happening bottom, actually.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
King R still there, still might time for another minute. They get the Suns off in the Earthshaker, Sadoi follow up with the rocket and most of the rocket barrage. That makes for another quick and easy kill. So this bottom lane is proving to be quite effective for effect, no pun intended. With that, they should be able to finish off the tower, perhaps.
Finish the tower, which should free the gyrocopter to move around. So,
yeah.
You know, with effects slightly ahead at the moment, I believe that we should see Sadoi kind of making a movement to go for a kill in one of these other lanes, or at least go for a tower.
Yep. And he's been the one who unquestionably had the best start of the Dark Heroes. At the same time, we also have Ninja who's taken over top, who's also not unfarmed, I guess you can say, so he'll still be able to hit a decent blink target timing unless he gets ganked up now. Leia and Afterlife smoking up together just as nighttime ends, so an advantage for effect has subsided. Yeah, just running straight at him. That is a type of rotation though. Maybe they can turn things around. Alpha Ninja still very much alive. Yakoslam, everything committed, and really will be able to finish the kill. But what cost? Afterlife knocked down very, very low, but Sadoi is out of juice.
Might actually go down here.
Much further. Okay, yeah, it has to be careful. The really has had the salve going for a little while to help him get up and running. And now Slayer with another combo. X into taunt. Afterlife is there with a follow control to bring down the big guy. Biting up a bit more than you can chew.
Raid boss down, as they say, and Mag really hasn't shown up to this mid lane in a while. He's just been juggling, so mid tier 1 should go down to G and Zayak. Oh, but there's a TB coming in.
The trees here to find G. They burn him down. They're also looking for Zayats. There's no lasso skilled up yet, so just have to run him down the old-fashioned way, but that'll do the trick just fine. Mac next on the list. Does he have another net? He does. Looking to try and run down Slayer. Well, not available here, but they need another net. Perhaps one afterwards, but not with new. Oh, good fissure. Barely keeping Slayer alive.
And that's Burn Mother a little bit more gold, and that puts Mag closer to his Radiance, assuming that that's what he's going to go for next. And I think the real success story for Vega, once again, and going to the mid game, is just a Slark being top of net worth by far. Well, not by far, but like slightly ahead of everyone else. And so
looking to Alpha Ninja now, just saying, hey, this is my lane. We meet again or something. I don't know. Still no Lasso skilled up, so but he's still putting on quite a bit of pressure here onto the Slark, but of course able to turn this around very easily with his ultimates. Maybe not too easily with the creeps blocking his way for the last couple of right clicks. Alpha NJ.
Thanks for that.
You're very lucky that this is a thing, but now King R. But the interception, he has a haste rune even. The real you hasn't healed up all that much of his ultimate just yet. It's super, super slow in the early parts instead. Well, King R will just try to go for Zayats, but look at this burst damage. With the pounds connecting together with the Q.
Well, that play not quite paying off for King R,
Yeah.
so the real you just gets closer and closer to Shadow Blade, and I can definitely see a scenario where the Slark puts a ton of pressure on effect, especially because Slark's actually a hero that's well equipped to deal with Broodmother. You got the Dark Pact for the spiders, you have Pounce to prevent her from sort of escaping, and so the effect kind of have to be really careful with the timing that the real you gets this Shadow Blade, but also just their positioning later on in the game.
That is,
So, you know, both teams is farming up right now. I think really both teams need a couple of items before they feel comfortable making moves. There's a Shadow Blade on the Slark that needs to come online, and then the Veil, which is almost complete on G, but not to mention all of the blinks.
Yeah.
All the various blink carriers in the game.
There was an X onto X onto G. Just so
Isaac's gonna find Earthshaker.
Could be a good kill. Alpha Ninja joining in as well, but I'm likely to lay him. Still sitting in fire. One more right click should do the trick here. Maybe not. There it is. Second one will connect as well. Also finding a bit of a stack here. So Alpha Ninja will have enough money for his own blink dagger off of that kill. And a couple of extra creeps. They'll also finish off the tower, one would imagine. Being chipped away at by Sidoi while all of this was happening.
Yeah, so Bling Combat Rider, it's nighttime. I believe that effect will try to get as much done as possible as 4 while Mag continues to farm up and get closer to his Radiance.
Yeah.
One thing is, the Ryu's only 500 gold away from his Shadow Blade, and I imagine that Vega will also look to make moves of their own with that item.
They're smoked up right now. Leo, G, and Zayat looking for Mag. They get the dust off. They actually find some spells on him up on the high ground, but unable to really catch up with him. Any sort of hard control from Slayer.
Could
So
set up for a
a
kill
nightmare. Up on the Necrophos, the rest of effect making their way through. And the Fiend Scope will be cancelled, not after a couple of seconds of effect. Now, turn around the Scythe, not enough damage here for Bane, still gets a Brain Stab off, and they'll get 1, they'll get 2, as Mag got plenty of time to finish up Slayer by his lonesome. So that movement not quite working out for Vega, sticking around after that failed attempt at the Brute's life. Well,
So effect, having a very comfortable lead now. I mean, it kind of helps that they have the vision control, right? You have Night Stalker and Bat Rider, so that makes it hard for Vega to sort of kill their way back into this game, and as a result, we might see some limited sort of movement from Vega, because during the nighttime, I think certainly Effector are way more effective. I gotta stop using that word. They're way more effective at looking for kills than Vega. Vega's gotta feel really scared right now. In fact, G is sort of in a really bad spot.
Oh, it's gonna be brought down a second time in a row. The ultimate comes through as well. The silence follows. Necrophos cannot do any sort of counterplay. The boat way too late. Same two heroes die again, and this time it will also cost them tier 1 tower.
I definitely feel like Effect have this Necrophos counter figured out. I mean, you lasso him, you silence him with a Night Stalker, and this Necrophos really doesn't get a lot done, especially when his team's not immediately there to back him up, and he's not going to have any silence removals or Lincolns or Lotus Orb anytime soon, so Vega looking like they're in a little bit of trouble here. I think it's really up to Slark to sort of catch them back into the game. Speaking of which...
Yeah, finds off a Ninja, also has help from Zayat with the extra burst damage, so far so good, but King R keeping eyes on him and does not have the Q to purge off the stuns immediately, but also no follow-up until just now. Jarikok comes in, but the ultimate's still available. Nightmare tries to dodge some of the damage. And with the cooldown going already, the real Alodan's unwilling to continue that push, that fight, that skirmish, whatever you want to call it. But now, the big item for Mag. He finished up the Radiance, 15 minutes, pretty good timing.
It's an amazing timing considering considering the early game. Bat Rider's actually set up for a kill here. They do see the Ancient Apparition, but I believe Bat wants like a much more higher priority kill, like the Necrophos or Slark.
With the silence off on him, X-Torn a little bit too late. The Echo Slam up top here, Afterlife. Kind of committing here for this Bat Rider, but he has plenty of help. They should be able to right-click it down in the end, and they do. The rest of Vega making the call not to try and help out there.
And so this is the point where Effect's lineup really kicks in. They have 4 heroes that are constantly looking for kills, and Mag just continuing to farm and push out the mid lane.
Another one. X into boat. Night Stalker dodging some of the damage here from the Ice Blast at the very least. This does the effect might actually take out to this. And that's only level 1. Ah, no, he's fine.
And a very excellent Nightmare from our Zeke to sort of save the Night Stalker there. It prevents the bulk of the damage coming up from that combination. And we forgot to mention how good the Vega Squadron are at getting kills off of this X Torrent combo.
Yep.
Sort of a combination you don't usually see, the Ancient Apparition and the Kunkka together.
Yep. It works out quite well, but now the last up top, the Q not in time, so last into Fiend Script. It's a very easy pick-off. Yeah, I mean, Kunkka Ancient Apparition, I've seen it a couple of times, a couple of weeks back. It's also really good just with the cold feet. And you can almost guarantee it even early on in the game with the Axe, that you can actually get the proc off. Definitely with the Axe Torn play.
Yep, and Effect just playing really well at all phases of the game, and
Yeah.
you know they're right on track to win this game as long as they don't bleed out too many kills. And you know, I'm tempted to say that Slark's really not ever going to be in a position to help carry this game, especially because Effect's heroes are quite good at disengaging from Vega.
Yep.
Because you're gonna get eventually you're gonna get some BKBs on both the Broodmother and the Gyrocopter, and you know, none of Vega's heroes are really capable of dealing with that. So
I feel like if Slark carries this game, then it's only going to be at the ultra late game where he's just like 6 slotted or something, and almost
Sure.
impossible to really kill, or within a time that he doesn't have any of his defensive utility available.
I don't think Slarks can carry games where the Slark is on equal net worth with the enemy cores.
Oh yeah.
He's got to get an advantage by finding kills. And speaking of which,
Let's try and pop the Q first now, turning things around, follow up with the fissure, but hey, Scythe not quite enough to bring down King Ar straight off the bat. There's also no counterplay here from Effect by the looks of it now. The Wheelio actually gets rocketed up here and will hit just after the Q, so will be stunned inside of his ultimate, but yeah, still connecting on Zeke. He will be able to finish off this kill eventually, but at what cost? The last one on to G. Echo Slam here, Afterlife throwing his best to turn things around, and he is! G gets the heals off. Afterlife almost sliced the tower, but almost not good enough. And finally, Maggie's the one cleaning house. Now he also needs to catch the Wheelio, and he will almost be able to the last tower shot, helping him get that off. Oh my god, what a back and forth here.
so taking a look at the fight recap, it's actually Vega that kind of wins from that fight, just because you know Effect's heroes are worth so much more than Vega's, and if anything, the real winner of the fight is Mag, though, getting really close to that BKB, and you can kind of see that Effect wanted to just disengage from that fight after the Night Stalker died. You know, they were thinking, hey, the opponents just smoked 5 heroes. They're in kind of a weird position, but we can't exactly. There's no easy way for us to get into that fight, and so they wanted to disengage, but you know, Vega, they kept chasing and chasing, and you know. Although Effect lost some heroes here and there, I think Mag did a really good job of sort of just coming in from the backline after Vega had expended most of their spells and takes sort of a clean teamfight victory for himself.
He's like, I don't care about my teammates.
I'll take that.
I'm a Broodmother, I'll carry this myself. Well, speaking of teammates, okay, it was Slayer just axing himself up forward. It was always going to be fine. Well, this push is coming out from Effect, so you're refocusing a little bit. Should have proper night temp coming in as well, just as the Night Stalker ultimate ends. So they have a lot of window of opportunity to just keep up the pressure.
You can see Effect are totally confident with just having their supports on the enemy side of the map. Someone just draws top, you know. Someone on Effect just draws top. Hey, or Vega's probably playing on our side of the map, so you know. You have the Bat Rider getting ready to push up bottom. Gyrocopter's farming the enemy jungle. Really, they're just waiting on a couple of item timings here. I mean, Gyrocopter's getting really close to that Sanjan Yasha, and Broodmother's getting really close to that BKB.
Yep.
And she really hasn't been able to have a huge impact on this game, partially because, you know, his early game got hurt by laning against the Bat Rider, but also Effect has done a really good job of just staying on top of the Vega cores, making sure that G and Earthshaker really haven't had that much time to farm.
Yep. We'll be finishing up this tier 2 tower top. Doesn't look like Effect really wants to fight this at all. That they're looking for a trade, but it's only Alpha Ninja down here, so it's not known to be an effective tower pusher. All he can really do is take care of the creeps.
Done his BKB, so Mag should be really effective this fight, but as we say that, Vega smoked up his 5. Really no easy way for Vega to approach this, so they're gonna have to scout out a kill with the Slark, and they do find one.
Seems to be the big one, but Wheelio actually misses the pounds, but should still be alright with the X-Torrent connecting.
I think Effect just decide to disengage from this one. Don't lose any more heroes like they did last time. But there's still a 5-man smoke for a support Bane, and realistically speaking, Vega's not going to get anything out of the next 20 seconds, so...
Yep.
In fact, they can kind of reset and look for kills of their own now that they have Nighttime Forbidden. They have that BKB on Mag.
I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Smoke up in the back. Being probably about to lead the charge together with Alpha Ninja. His Blink, his Yules. And Sadoi also nothing to ignore here, level 15s, plenty of magic damage to throw out. And also has Sanjin Yasha, so...
You can see the real you has picked up a gem, so that item's really important for Slark, but is it gonna help them? Because the fact they're on the hunt.
Rio's mid here to focus on G, but Ryu, he's just picked up a DD rune, so that's a great great advantage to have in this fight. Finished off on one, looking for Arzik. It's done up for the time being, and well, the rest of Vega, they still end up falling. Now they can refocus their efforts onto the Ryu. Spider's still chasing another net, going up to the high ground here. This is trying to keep them alive, but Maki's no fear, but maybe should. Echo Slam does a good amount of damage, but not enough. Afterlife will give his life for the course. The pounds will be blocked by from the Slark, but he'll still be able Shadow Blade his way out of there. That was an awful pun in the middle, in the making there, in the middle of that with Afterlife.
You see, in fact, they kind of just came in at like the perfect angle, managed to catch G in like a really weird position, and I'm pretty sure the only reason why Slark got as many kills as he did was because of that double damage, right? So, in fact, they win that team fight handily, and I think that's how a lot of the team fights will go for Effect if Vega aren't being proactive with their positioning. And actually, they really managed to spot out Slark for a second there. Slark does have a gem, so...
I know, going for Mac. The Nightmare dodges a little bit of the damage here, but the Ice Blast still comes through. Mac slowed down. X back into the torrent. It's a good pickoff. Down for the count. For
that could lead into a Roshan attempt. The Mag does not have buyback, so...
Yeah.
Mag's gonna be playing without him, but it looks like they're going for Rosh. Yep. 15 agility essence shift stacks on Slark should make quick work of this Rosh, relatively speaking.
Plus 45 damage, seems good.
45 agi. Got the attack speed as well, but...
Yeah.
This reminds me of that game. I think Black had 50 essence shift stacks, so like 150 agi or something ridiculous. Anyway, in fact, they don't look like they're gonna give this up for free. They're actually starting to run towards the Rosh pit. Not an easy fight for them to take without Mag, but...
Also almost down already, so yeah, that is. Aegis down cancels the Slarks, so... Low dance can be a little bit more aggressive, to say the least. Question is, like, if these fights go the way, or similarly to the way they have been going, like, either they can just ignore him and kill the rest of his team, or they can just pick him off and then kill the rest of his team in the 5 seconds that it takes for him to respawn.
I'm fairly certain that Effect's game plan in these fights is just to take out the backline as fast as possible, specifically like G on the Necropost, right? And so, you know, Vega, they have the potential to sort of just burst Mag immediately out of these fights before the BKB, right? You have the stuns from Earthshaker, you have the fallout from Necropost and Kunkka, so...
They're gonna go. The Lincoln Sphere, though, onto Slark, and now he can turn around on the Alpha Ninja. Delays itself a little bit, but the axe back onto Sadoi. Not quite coming out, though. He dodges that particular combo. Back still staying as a cohesive unit. The radio Shadow Bladed out. Still looking for an angle back in.
Their spells there.
Yeah. Not sure where the axe didn't come out. Maybe it was silenced up or something.
Yeah, the important thing to note about both team fights too is that their supports are actually really important this game on both teams. I mean, Kunkka and AA, they provide so much team fight utility for Vega, so if Effect managed to take those two heroes out of the fight, then the rest of the fight becomes a lot easier, especially because that AA ult hurts Broodmother so much because you don't regenerate off of your ultimate.
Yep.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
In fact, they made the call, alright, let's just forget about this lane. Just farm up elsewhere on the map, try and push out these other lanes, but... yeah, giving up quite a bit of map control here, not just the tier 1, but also the tier 2 tower in this offlane, going to fall to Vega. Is this the right decision? Like, are they getting enough out of this?
It's more like I feel like Effect don't think they're in a position to fight directly into Vega, specifically, or especially because the Slurk has that Aegis. I mean, they're having enough trouble dealing with the Slurk once. I don't think they can actually kill him twice, especially because, you know, Effect have like 0 spells that actually go through Dark Pact, so it's like really up to the Slurk screwing up for him to go down in these fights.
Yeah. This is also daytime for a little while. Another indication that maybe you shouldn't take a fight without having that extra vision advantage.
Slurk's moving in for Sido in the bottom lane. They have Afterlife set up here as well. It could be a potential kill, but instead, Sido looks to back up. Slurk actually scouting out. This gem's actually been so important for the Slurk, and oh, he's going for a kill on the Bane.
Straight for a Zeke. Does the Nightmare to help himself out a little bit, but the Ice Blast is there to follow. Will secure the kill. Now the ultimate as he gets stunned up by the rocket, but now Afterlife even finds a bad one to the side. The Echo Slam, everything being used. It's 2 years down, but in backlines, Mac turning things around, making a beeline for Afterlife. Now the Relio is silenced up. They can trigger the Aegis at the very least. Sayat's up in the top line, up in the high ground, I should say. Still there, not quite burning down to the Radiance, but
If it's any consolation, I mean, Effect probably have the winning exchange out of that. They get 3 heroes for 2 heroes for. Well, that's about even.
Yeah,
Effect
now
also
maybe can get Slark again. The rocket will follow him, so they know the general direction that they have to go if they want to chase him down. He's going all the way back, so instead, maybe some juicier targets here. G, if they can only catch up to him. Another rocket actually chasing him. And
so, Effect, they get to keep their gem. The Batrider did drop with the gem, but I don't think Vega were aware of it, so neither the Earthshaker or the Slurk managed to pick it up, and so I think pretty break-even fight. Effect get to keep themselves in the game for a little bit longer, considering that Slurk had the Aegis, and now, you know, perhaps we'll see Effect being a little bit more aggressive now that the Aegis is out of play, and it is nighttime for about 3 more minutes.
Yep. With Germ actually on Alpha Ninja, so he can use that longer duration flying vision. Try and help out. Ooh. Almost gets caught out there, perhaps. But yeah, in terms of items, another Lincoln Sphere, and it works on the Necrovos. In fact, you just picked it up, so it's good against a variety of different things, like the rocket, the lasso, of course. What other sort of initiation can Effect actually go for that's reliable at this point?
I'm sure the only target that can actually go on is G, but you know, G and the Slurk have Lincoln Spheres, which counteracts all of the initiation from Effect, so Effect kind of have to have this sort of team fight where they bait out Vega's spells onto. So watch mid real quick. Yep. Vega kind of have to, Effect kind of have to have a team fight where Vega can't combine their spells correctly to burst down a hero, and so I think perhaps the most realistic targets for Effect are going to be the Ancient Apparition and Kunkka.
Yep. All that backline that they kept focusing on here whenever they could already. Still remaining vulnerable here, but yeah, it's a matter of surviving that play from the course. Who do have that freedom now? It seems like. I mean, Slark up to level 20, but it looks like we have a fight in mid. Afterlife will be defusal bladed out of the Yules, so Mac having that available, but now to turn on play. The real Yule comes through. Zeke cannot protect himself for long enough. Now the rocket chasing him once again, wastes his time in the ultimate, but the Scythe brings down the Broodmother. Sidori. It's going to be all on him to provide the extra bit of damage here. G on the wrong side of it, but proving to be very tanky, and you know that the Slark is going to come right back into this fight, so they're getting the hell out of there. I don't blame them at all for that decision.
You know, Vega, they win a really good team fight there. They lasted long enough that the BKB on Mag ran out, so that Reaper Scythe was an easy kill on Broodmother, and as a result, you know, it feels like Effect can't really deal with the Slurk anymore. The Slurk's got enough levels and enough items that if realistically Effect have to kill the Slurk last and try to do it like in a 5-on-1 kind of scenario, but Vega certainly have the upper hand going into the 32-minute mark.
Like they need a halberd or something. Just try and mitigate his impact.
A halberd, or perhaps just enough damage on the Broodmother and the gyrocopter to make quick work of everyone else on Vega Squadron. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever you don't have the kind of disables to deal with a hero like Slark, it feels like he's the last hero that you actually can handle.
Yeah. At the very
In
least,
fact,
they held on through gems.
Yeah, that gem's gonna be super important for them, especially because of the Slark Shadow Blade, but doubly so because, you know, Vega's relying on these to make sure they don't get caught out by effect.
Yep. They've yet to breach high ground though, but they've taken all the tier 2s, so as a fact have not really been able to make their way across the map in the last couple of minutes. Now at daytime, that also seems quite unlikely to occur.
It's funny because like both Night Stalker and Slark are heroes that like nighttime, but you know when the Night Stalker's on the enemy team, the Slark's the one that's kind of playing defensively at night.
Yeah.
So there's a smoke coming up for Vega. I mean, Vega are super confident right now, right? They realistically, this Slark is incredibly difficult to kill, especially when he's when there's so much counter initiation coming from Vega Squadron.
Oh. The burst on King R as well, not quite enough damage, but eventually he will take out the Cold Feet. Now the Rito is still leading the charge. Looks for Sadori. BKB comes through, but he's still racking away under the cover of the ultimate in backlines. Meanwhile, Mac comes in, pops his own BKB, but the boat finishes up CIS. And now the jump down the Scythe, not quite here. The BKB was still going, but still they have to take. They have to get the hell out of here. X back on the Mac into another jump from a lower dance. And they even get the Yules up on a gyrocopter. Oh my god, an absolute disaster. Fact lose all of the heroes. Not just some of them. Very awkward position for them to fight in, as it turns out.
You can see that just given Vega Squadron's heroes and given, you know, how far ahead they are, they're just using this Slark as a vehicle to start their team fights, and that's probably one of the best ways to start their team fights, because as soon as the Slark goes in, you know, you can see all the effects heroes are reacting, and then you can cast your spells accordingly, right? Like, Vega Squadrons, they're getting all of the pickoffs they need at the start of the fights.
I feel so that's a die. It looks like they're going to lose tier 3 tower, the Ryu. Oh, able to get the jump off, and of course the Lincoln Sphere will protect against the rocket. Tank in the face, now perhaps look for more. King R again! Not exactly as tanky as he used to be. Nightmare once again to touch some of the damage, but it's never really enough. They will lose another one. They'll start chipping away at the Minorax. Feeble, well, on level 1. Doesn't really matter that you can't purge it off. Once again, the rocket flies, and some will actually connect, but did get the Q off. They get what came for. Some kills, get the racks.
Now they have Shrines and they have Roshan, so Vega basically in the leading position. I don't think it's very easy for Effect to really come back into this game. It really relies on the Slark mispositioning himself somehow. Oh,
that is that Echo Slam. Done that to follow. Mac dies again. The boat combo onto Affen and Jay. Not okay, dodged by the Nightmare. Pretty nice actually, but ultimately doesn't really matter. Another one down, and Afterlife looking for more. Yule Scepter for a bit of a soft initiation. Sadari pops the BKB, but he cannot men fight against all of this now, can he? So a little bit of control from the Scythe. With no damage, but they already called the GG, so hey. What does it really matter? And we are going to a game number 3 for the second time tonight.
So it seemed like Effect were having the advantage out of the early game and most of the mid game, but well, what they were really lacking was a solution for the Slark, and I think the Slark kind of just made it through as one of the final 2 picks. So, you know, Effect didn't have any cores that exactly matched up against Slark. It felt like the only response they had to the Slark was to sort of aggressive tri-lane him and sort of shut down the Slark. But through some lane swapping, I think they managed to get a lot. They managed to get a good start on Slark with Vega Squadron. So, you know, they take game 2.
With that, they keep their hopes alive of sticking around here in the Perfect World Masters CIS qualifiers, because of course this is an elimination series. Game number 3 will be an elimination game coming up soon.